All right, so we're here. This is episode 4 of the 1080C podcast. I'm Trevor Valentine.
I'm Sophie Ryan.
I'm Anthony Horton.
And I'm Crawford Nettles.
And yeah, so today we're going to talk about TV shows, honestly. Just cartoons, whatever, anything comes to mind, anything off the dome. For our longtime viewers, we don't really have much of a structure here, so yeah, we're kind of just freestyling it, I guess.
We try at least.
Oh God, I'm blind.
Yeah, we try.
We set the topic and then we just kind of wander around.
Pretty much.
Love the headphone thing happening here. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's not gonna work out for the best.
It's all good.
But whoever wants to go first, let's open the discussion,
I don't know if you can see it behind me, but I do have an X-Files poster up. So
Hey.
I'm going to throw that one in the ring.
Let's talk
Go to
X-Files.
That's definitely a banger.
Dude, I would die for Fox Mulder. Also, Dana Scully, I would die for her too. Not going to lie.
I'm just hearing a lot of "you want to die."
Good.
So.
I mean, like, there's a good, like, terrible 80s, like, effects, and it's just so good to, like, sit through and rewatch. I've watched it, like, 5 times at this point.
Dang. I don't think I've
a lot
had a
of
show.
X-Files. So X-Files terrifies me. All right. Like, I don't know what it is. I just remember whenever I was a kid, like, one of my parents were watching it, and it just creeped me out real good. That and there's a couple other shows I'll probably mention, but no, I haven't seen much of X-Files because it startled me as a kid, traumatized me even.
like a Twilight Zone almost.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that I was gonna mention Twilight Zone. Same deal. Terrified me.
That's pretty understandable. It's
I'm gonna throw this out here, but we probably shouldn't dwell on it too long. My ex's parents met on an X-Files roleplay forum.
Heck yeah. Dude,
And that's how he was conceived.
That's how you do
So there's
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That is quite a story. Wow. I'm gonna have to keep that in my memory Rolodex for future reference. But yeah, that's quite a story.
What's your favorite, like, X-Files episode? Like, why should I give it another chance and not be traumatized by it?
There's this really fun one where I have 2 that I'm specifically thinking of. There's this really fun one where there's this kid who supposedly is like Christ reborn, and then like Fox is the one who doesn't believe that anything's happening because he's all like science fiction and not like religious. And so like we get this very good difference suddenly where Scully is like, Mulder, you have to believe me, like this is happening, and he's like, nah, that doesn't make any sense. And she's like, hey, you just talked about aliens for like 45 minutes the last episode, what you mean? So that one's really good. And then also I was watching it with someone the first time, so I just like started where I was, and it was the episode about the they're not cockroaches, but they look like cockroaches, but they're actually like little tiny robots. And that one is really good because the town thinks that like people are being eaten and killed by cockroaches. That's like this whole government plan. And I mean, that's really just like the gist of all the X-Files episodes.
Yeah.
That like the government sucks and they're hiding things, which I think is like, yeah, baby. And there's also like aliens sometimes.
That show is like it's like episodic, right? Like every episode's like a different thing, like it's serialized or whatever.
Right. And then there's also like the overarching theme.
Oh.
So like for the first few seasons, there's like the man smoking a cigarette. He doesn't have like an actual character name, I don't remember. and so like he's like this overarching bad figure, and like
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know it
one
had like an
of
overarching.
those.
I know that.
I knew there was like 2 movies, and then they had like a revival
Yes.
for a little bit.
I wanted to ask about those. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's bad.
I heard
The
they
movies are
weren't that
bad.
good, but damn, I couldn't imagine. Like, I'm really into. Well, last year I got really into Twin Peaks.
Yes.
I was
Yes.
kind of like,
Oh, that's a
Yes.
good one.
I was like obsessed with that shit for
Mhm.
like weeks. I
Yeah.
was like, I gotta figure this out. And then I got to the revival, and I don't know, I didn't finish the revival. I got like halfway through,
Yeah.
and I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, this isn't what I wanted.
Yeah. Season 3 gets weirdly experimental and super, super David Lynchian, where up is down and down is up and everything doesn't make sense and it's all blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Which was funny because I wanted to bring that up because I know David Duchovny is known for the X-Files, but the only time I've seen him in anything is his character Denise in Twin Peaks in season 2, where he's like the
Oh, yeah.
cross-dressing
I forgot
FBI
he was.
agent.
Yeah, he is in season 2. I completely forgot about
is in
that.
Twin Peaks, and it's the
I
greatest.
literally, I don't even think I watched season 2. I think I watched the first season, started season 2, and was like, this is a little funkier than I wanted to be, and then just didn't.
Well, season 1 and 2 kind of run into each other because season 1 only lasted for like 10 episodes,
Yeah.
and then everyone was like, we want more, and so they made like 30 episodes, and then season 3 is the revival, which is where it gets like super experimental.
Like,
And what was great about the first 2 seasons was like it was playing on soap operas, and there was this mystery, but it was also making fun of like serialized television, but brought it more insidious.
yeah. Like season
So
3.
what do you mean? Why did it get? Oh, I guess you're about to answer that. Yeah, season 3.
Like
Yeah.
season 3, basically, because from what I watched a lot of David Lynch interviews. He was like, yeah, we didn't want to tell people who killed Laura, and so we had to rush and find an answer. And then the rest of like season 2 is just kind of like whatever came in their head. And
Yeah.
then season 2 ends on like a weird ass cliffhanger where like Agent Cooper is like stuck in this like weird dimension, and then the show just kind of ends on that. And then
Where's Annie? How's
Yeah.
Annie is like the famous last line.
like, and then 16 years go by, people wanted a third season.
Or 20 or something crazy.
Yeah. Then he makes the third
Wait.
season with Showtime.
Yeah.
And like when I started, I was super hype. I was like, oh, this is gonna be awesome. And then it's like it's 16 episodes. They're all like an hour long, which
Yeah.
isn't super weird, but like it's just like random is
The
happening.
content is very, very weird.
What do
Because,
you mean?
Like here's the weird thing about season 3. Like they have Agent Cooper. He's playing two other characters, his actor. So he has one character where he's playing like the regular Agent Cooper. Then he's got a character where he's playing like a mentally disabled person, I guess. And then the third one, he's playing some like hitman guy.
Yeah, evil Cooper.
Yeah. And
Evil version of him.
It's really strange because you see Cooper for like 2 minutes in like first episode, and you're like, oh, this is hype. And then the rest of up until like the last few episodes, you're basically hanging out with evil Agent Cooper and the other guy, basically. And they just go through a bunch of stuff.
And like the part about the plot is that like Agent Cooper was trapped in like this ulterior dimension at the end of the original series. And so now he's like sent back to try to get rid of his evil self because of clones and things that don't make sense, and just don't get me started. It's very weird and complicated. And Yeah.
It's very strange. Like, and then there's like I watched because when I got into Twin Peaks, I did like the full breakdown. I was like,
Yes.
I'm gonna watch the first 2 seasons, then I'm gonna watch the movie, then I'm gonna
Yep.
watch the revival, and I got to like episode 8, and it really tests your patience
It does.
as an audience member. Like, you're like, can we get to the regular? And it's just
There-
nah, bro.
Because the first 2 seasons had a plot. Season 3 has a plot, but it's very hidden, and you have to piece it together yourself. It doesn't hold your hand in any way, shape, or form. You just kind of thrown into it. Because the first 2 seasons were made with the studio that were like try to keep him contained and try to keep it entertaining in like a normal TV format for general audiences. But this most recent one, he was just able to do whatever the heck he wanted, and David Lynch went full on David Lynch, just
Yeah, like
imagistic, and it works. You either love it or you hate it. Either works for you
Mhm.
or it doesn't. And I think it seems like me and Trevor both are struggling with it because I
Doesn't
also didn't get
work.
past like episode 8, and I want to try.
Are
it.
Yeah,
they
'cause-
still?
Hmm?
Are they going to come out with like a 4th season, like at all? Or?
it's
There's
rumored. Like,
There's rumors.
Okay.
Yeah.
apparently, like they asked David Lynch about it. He's like, yeah, I got a season 4, and then we don't hear anything about it. David Lynch, sometimes he's
This is
really
cryptic.
good. Sometimes he's like,
That
What
was
are you
me
doing?
when Crawford asked me if Scram was ready. And I was
Mhm.
like, yeah, Scram's ready to go.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
like I don't know. David Lynch, I really like Twin Peaks, especially the first 2 seasons. I was really
Yep.
invested. And then The Return came out. This is like, I couldn't imagine watching it week to week. I feel like I would be
Yeah.
way more
Yeah.
confused trying to
Yeah,
do that
for
in like
sure.
2016 versus like binging it. Cause even now it's kind of like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, I've learned to appreciate it a little bit more because Red Letter Media did like a 2-hour review of the revival and kind of make you understand a little bit. But again,
Mhm.
you have to really dig for that meaning. The show does not hold your hand or any way, and that's what's like really interesting about it as a TV show. Because TV shows, they have to get you to like grab you week to week, so they have to appeal to a mass audience but also appeal to the fans, and Twin Peaks doesn't worry about that. It just does whatever the heck it wants, and you either can ride or die with it or get lost. Like there's no in between.
Like I guess on one end, like I kind of respect David Lynch's ambition, just like
Yeah.
saying I'm gonna do whatever, and people
Yeah.
are gonna watch it regardless. But on the
Yes.
other hand, it's like it's a little unfulfilling if you
Yeah.
watch the earlier seasons because it's like I have no idea what's going on, so I'm just gonna
Mhm.
keep
For sure.
watching. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. I think it's worth a watch. Like,
First 2 seasons especially.
yeah,
Oh, I guess that's true. Like the original. Yeah.
The original, it's just so good. It just also has a better. I feel like it has a better sense of humor too than
yeah.
'Cause
The
the
revival.
the
yeah.
revival is actually very, very dark. It's
Good.
way more extreme because we now live in a TV show era where they're able to let's
Get
guts,
away with that.
nudity, and
Yeah.
all that good stuff when
Mhm.
the original series couldn't do any of that. So it gets really, really dark and scary and
It's really
ominous.
heavy. Like,
Yeah. Even though there's some good jokes, I guess, here
yeah.
and there. Like
That's
the
true.
whole Agent Cooper thing, he's like, because he's been in an alternate dimension for so long, he has to learn how to speak again. So another problem is that we love this character, but he's basically a silent protagonist for the most part for the first like 14
episodes.
until,
Yeah.
until he like learns how to speak again.
Hmm.
It's very
Yeah.
weird.
I don't know. Maybe one day I'll finish it, but not today.
Yeah, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try one.
So
day.
neither of you have been able to finish the final season.
Nope.
I mean, the
glad-
latest. Yeah.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
What other
know.
TV shows do I? Or
Yeah. What's
hold on.
like? I guess I'm kind of curious. What's like number one like TV show to each of you?
Ooh. Ooh, I'll say this for now. I'm on season 4 of The Sopranos, so I'm not all the way through yet. But
Mhm.
I'll probably say out of finished TV shows that I've watched, it's The Wire, most definitely.
For sure.
It
Wire's
it
really
is
good.
it is hard to explain, like the way they construct it to where the plot consistently builds upon itself for every season, and it really gets, like, I think that's a show everybody who's an American citizen should watch, because
Should watch it.
it
I
really
haven't finished
shows
it.
you. Oh, I don't want to spoil
Yeah.
it.
Oh, you can go for it. It's so
Like,
old at this point. It's my fault, right?
We've already spoiled a lot of Twin Peaks, so
Yeah.
spoiler
Yeah.
warning. Too late.
yeah,
But go for it.
but like it really shows you how the criminal justice system is, and like
For
ways
sure.
that I didn't even realize. Like, and what I like about it is every season is completely. It's like a different overarching plot line, but it all gets back to the same like shit. It's like, yo, the government up, bro. Basically, like season 4 is probably my favorite season because it's like the school kids, and you're seeing it from
Mhm.
like a teacher's perspective, and they give you. It's basically like the drug dealers in the beginning. They just get replaced by new names and faces. They don't ever really go away. So it's some really good stuff. Like I really liked it. That's probably my favorite show so far, but we'll see what happens when I finish The Sopranos, of course.
The famous ending to The Sopranos.
Yeah.
We won't talk about it.
Baby.
It's okay.
Yeah, baby.
um, I have a show that can similar issues with the finale. Lost. Lost is definitely my favorite TV show of all time. I
That
don't
was
care
such
about
a
any
bad
controversy.
one.
It's okay. We can fight about it. It's fine.
Isn't
What
the
you mean the finale? So you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was something you said about Twin Peaks earlier, Trevor. Where you something like about like how you could tolerate it in a binge format. You have no idea how you could like digest it like the weekly.
Yeah.
I think Lost was a lot like that, right? It was it's one of those shows that it's very old and it shows. I don't know if I would have liked the show if I were watching it as it aired week to week. I wouldn't have been able to follow any of the that went on in that show. And that show had a lot go on in it. Okay? Very existential.
I watched that show.
Mhm.
I watched that show as a kid when Netflix still had their they would send you DVDs.
DVDs.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good old
So
days.
so they would send us the Lost like season, and we would
Mm.
my family would sit together and watch that.
Cool. Yeah. The ending to that show is like, I don't know, a lot of people hate it and I understand why. For me, I don't know if it's just I took it a different way than other people. I took it as a very existential thing and not quite like literal. And to me, it just, I guess in some ways it's a lot of fan service, which I guess isn't necessarily like a bad thing for to a TV show. Mostly paying ode to like original characters and spending time with that stuff and recreating, you know, the first scene in the show shot for shot for the final like shot of another character's spoiler alert, death. But how do I veer around this? Actually, we don't care about spoilers, right? This
Yeah.
show's old as hell, right? Okay, so lost the ending. Now's your warning. Basically, the assumption, the presumption that people have made about it is that it ends with all the characters getting off the island, coming back, leaving again, the main character coming back, dying on the island, and the afterlife. He sees all the characters he that you had been introduced to the entire show, right? A lot of people took that as like, oh, it was limbo the whole time, right? That's like the big, I guess, misconception with it. I didn't take it that way. I took it more as like there's like a theory within death and like some beliefs where like when you meet someone in whatever afterlife you believe in, right? It's sometimes like time's not linear, basically. It's like you see your loved one, but it doesn't necessarily mean
Shit.
as they are now, presently. Doesn't mean just because you're seeing them doesn't mean they're dead. It's just time doesn't work that way beyond, right?
Sure.
And Lost played with that a lot. Where, oh man, dude, oh god, the main character's name's Jack. Like, he had a lot of issues going through that show, like not being able to let go of certain things. That was his entire character arc. The final few like scenes in that is him saying goodbye to his dad, who had been dead since the first season, right? Saying goodbye to someone that he loved, like just getting personal goodbyes with everyone he had encountered through the show. And just it really hit home for me personally. The reason I think I resonated with it so much is I personally am not that much of a believer in faith, right? And this show did like a really beautiful thing without hammering that home. Like, it's like, oh, it's about God and all this stuff. It touched on it very lightly but very deeply, right? I don't know. There's just something really moving about how they handled it. Like, there were characters that you hadn't seen since the first season, and they came back and said goodbye. And there was like, you know, Jack asked his dad, it's like, does this mean like everyone's dead? And then he was just like, eventually, you know. And it's like, oh god. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just it was just really beautiful. It's been a long time since I've watched it, but I've seen it maybe 4 or 5 times all the way through. But yeah, there's a lot of issues with that show with just pacing.
Yeah. As most things with like J.J. Abrams are.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But Sophie, I'm curious your thoughts on it, because you were saying you
This
hated like the ending, or maybe not hated, you didn't like the ending, right? So
I was just not satisfied, I think.
sure. Like they left, like, that's the thing, is like that show went on so long when it really shouldn't have, and they just kept
that was my problem, is that as soon as they were off that
time
fucking
travel, dude.
island, it just got too
We
much.
gotta go
and
back.
I was like
And because like it's like every season they got into that rut where it was like they had to keep having something big happen, right? And keep threading it together. And like by the end of it, there were so many questions they needed to answer that they just couldn't. And it was very clear they didn't have answers in the first place. Whether or not you believe everything needs to be answered, there was some like pretty big like plot holes in that show by the end of it. That they just were just like, yeah, you know, it's fine. So like here, fan service, and you're like, oh emotions. Yeah.
Speaking of like, I'm switching gears here. Speaking of
you're
like
good.
fan service, one thing that's like, I don't know if you guys like, everybody likes Breaking Bad, and I really like that show. And then the El Camino movie came out, and I didn't really like it that much because I feel like the El Camino movie, it kind of robs you of like imagination a little bit. Like, it answers all the questions, like, yo, what happened to Jesse at the end of the show? A part of me is like, you kind of killed fan conversation by making a movie that shows exactly what happens. So I don't know. I definitely get that feel. I haven't watched Lost. I think I watched like one episode, but
you should. It's on Hulu, I think.
Who knows?
I have no idea what it's on anymore.
But
no, yeah. I think you basically just touched on something I was going to say for Lost, but I didn't want to hog the conversation. And that's the concept of answering too many questions, right? Like, I'm a fundamental believer that like not every thing needs to have an answer. Perfect example for that, like, is you get this a lot in zombie movies, but especially The Walking Dead. Constantly people asking online, what started the zombie apocalypse? We got to know. And it's like, does it fucking matter? It doesn't, dude. It doesn't matter. We don't need to know. I don't want to talk about that show, but you know,
it's probably better if we don't.
Let's not.
But yeah, Yeah, definitely.
So how was El Camino? I never watched it.
It was okay. It's just like it's a lot of fan service. It doesn't really feel like it like negotiated its existence when you watch it. Like I watched it, I was like, I didn't really need this, but it was cool, I guess. Like it's just a lot of like, oh, you remember this, don't you, from Breaking Bad? Like, oh, this is cool. And then there's like a random flashback with Walter White in it. And I'm like, okay. Like
Cool.
it doesn't really serve any purpose. It doesn't add anything. It's just kind of there. So
Yeah.
it was okay. I didn't really like it that much. Like
That kind of sucks because Breaking Bad was probably one of the most like amazing shows I've ever seen. Just from start to finish. Like that was a show that like perfect example counterpoint to Lost. It did not overstay its welcome and it did not just fill it to the brim with like just nonsense. Like everything had a purpose, excluding El Camino, apparently.
Yeah.
So yeah.
it's like
Um
I always when I talk about like TV seasons, I always say the best shows don't go over like 7 or 8. When you start hitting like 8, 9, 10 is usually when a show starts to drop in quality.
Game of Thrones.
That's one show I'm glad I missed out on because I kept hearing for years like, yo, you got to watch Game of Thrones, man. And then season 8 came out and everybody was like, don't watch it, please save yourself.
Live long enough to see yourself become the villain, right?
Like, I don't.
Good times.
I think Game of Thrones is actually interesting because
Mhm.
it's based on a book series and the books aren't even done. So they
Yeah.
kind of had to like figure something out, like how are we going to end this show?
For sure.
And they were like, yeah, we'll just get it over with, whatever, and keep it moving, which is kind of sucks, but
For fans, for
Well.
sure. I was one of those fans. Though granted, I didn't hate season 8 nearly as much as the internet did. But as time has passed, I definitely have developed the opinion that it's definitely not as good as like what it should have been. And they definitely did like let down their fans in that capacity.
what?
Yeah, but beyond that, Game of Thrones is excellent, and like just like Lost. The reason I started watching Lost is because like I was all about the journey, even though I knew what the ending was gonna be. You're probably same thing with Sopranos for you. I'm sure you had the ending of Sopranos spoiled for you by
See,
now. at
I've
this
had
point,
it
right?
spoiled before, but I
But you don't remember.
I don't remember
Good.
it.
I'm
so-
not going to tell you. You're fine.
Yeah.
But that's a perfect example of a show. Sopranos and Lost were two shows I had on my list that both endings like were controversial and they both were like one of those things where I was like, I want to watch these despite what everyone says, you know. Yeah, I still plan on watching Sopranos. I've heard excellent things about
It
it.
is.
Like,
It is a
so-
really good show.
Yeah.
It's really good. I like I don't know. It's at first like when I started it, I was like, oh, it's just gonna be like another mafia show. But it's like,
Mhm.
especially when you hit like season 4, it's about a lot of generational trauma and stuff, which I found surprising. I was like,
Mhm.
they kind of snuck in a like, yo, this is a mafia show.
So-
And now we're going to talk about, PTSD and how it goes through generations. I'm like,
yeah.
it's really good stuff. Like, I really like it so
Shit, you
far.
just sold me on Sopranos now. I gotta watch that right now. Let's go.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's on.
Crawford, is there anything? Oh, go ahead.
It's on HBO Max. So gotta-
Yeah.
Got it.
Of course it is. Yeah.
We're not sponsored.
Not sponsored? Huh? Really? I thought I got a call from them. Anyway.
Let me just hold up this HBO logo right here. All right, editor, put it right in my hands. Well, yeah, Crawford, is there anything you want to throw in TV show wise?
I guess since we're riding this HBO train,
Let's do it.
I have two that are tied for favorites. I
Mhm.
guess I'll talk about the HBO one first. But so it's the show from like the early 2000s. It's a little
Mhm.
older. It's called 6 Feet Under.
Heard
It's
that.
a wonderful, 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 wonderful HBO show about this family of funeral home owners
Hmm.
whose main patriarch, their father dies, and so these two sons who haven't seen each other for a few years have to now take over the company. And so the show's a lot about death and families and sadness and also joy and also gay people, and also it's a lot of things. A lot of things happen, and it's fantastic.
I'll have to check that out.
It's so hard to describe. It's a little like, it's an older show, so it's able to be a little bit more dramatic. It's a little, I feel like it may have not aged the best. It might be a little silly because like the relationships of the people and like the ways people die and like how the plotting goes is very like extreme, and maybe a little like so extreme that it's almost laughable, but it kind of, for me, it like rides this weird line between being super like over the top but also grounded.
Guess, do you kind of mean it's a little soap opera-y in some ways?
Kind of, but it like toes the line so well. And I just think that's something I've come to think maybe someone thinks. I personally don't think it's that extreme in that it toes the line so perfectly. You know? It's so perfectly just like tides this line between over the top. It was created by the guy who wrote American Beauty. And that movie kind of, I guess, also could be seen as a little over the top. It's very like extreme and dramatic, very dramatic. And it's about like also, I guess, same thing with Sopranos. It's also about like families and how like generations affect trauma and how that trauma like gets passed on from child to child. And the cool thing about the show is that like all the characters are like a array of ages. Like the mom is still alive and she's like in her mid 60s, but then the two sons are like 35 and like 32, and then they still have a daughter that's like 17, so it's like ending high school, and there's like this whole arc where she like goes to art college, and there's this whole thing about that. And it's so
Sounds
good.
like somebody I know.
Yeah. art school wannabe, you know. Yeah, and it's, I don't know how to describe it. The first season has this really cool structure too, where like the pilot, instead of commercial breaks, they have the regular commercials, but they also have like fake commercials for funeral home products. So it's like, buy our new like puffer. It makes your skin look like a brand new car for the dead person. And there's this, and then every episode starts with a death, which is the funeral that they're planning for that episode. So it's both episodic, like X-Files and all the shows we've been talking about, and like Doctor Who and stuff, but it also is very like modern TV shows where there's like an arc that's going throughout the season, and it like toes that line and does both in this really, really beautiful, wonderful, amazing, dramatic, beautiful way.
I'm gonna have to add this to the list. Like,
it's so good. Older show. And then another depressing show that's tied for second is BoJack Horseman. Since you brought up cartoons, I wanted to throw my favorite adult cartoon in there.
I really need to watch BoJack. I feel like I haven't given it its like proper chance, to be honest. Like I watched like maybe 1 or 2 episodes and go ahead.
Before we go down the rabbit hole that is the cartoons and that general animation style TV show, because I know we'll be lost down there for a while.
Yes.
I would like to throw out The Haunting of Hill House is another one.
Yes. I was gonna mention
that came out that it makes me cry every time I watch the final episode, and I'm not talking like baby tears. I'm talking like I'm full on sobbing, and I just think that it's done very, very well.
I have one more show to throw out. Mr. Robot, which is
I really wanted to watch that show.
one of my
I really still want to.
It's really like, I got into it like before the last season came on, and I watched all of it. I watched the first 3 seasons, and like the way it deals, I've never seen a show that like deals with like mental health in such an intricate way where it feels like, I don't know, it's really realistic, but at the same time, like it's it's just a very good show. Like at first I thought it was like gonna be some kind of like dumb hacker show, but it
Is
kinda,
that not what it is?
a little bit, but like it's still like obviously there's gonna be some crazy like hacking. Like I don't know how
Mhm.
somebody would do that, but it's very like grounded for the most part. And like the final season, I felt like it had a really good payoff. I know the last episode, I was very emotional when it finished. I was like, I don't know what else I'm gonna watch after this. But it's a really
Mhm.
good show. I really enjoyed it all the way through. It's only 4 seasons. I think it's like
Yeah.
46 episodes. The cinematography,
Mm. Yeah.
it's really good in that show.
You
Like,
seen the
it's
show too,
insane.
Crawford?
No, I know from reputation that the cinematography is like
Yeah, I've
excellency.
it's always been on my list because I've like it had like a lot of hype for a while there.
Mhm.
Like a lot of people were singing its praises, and I just never gave it a chance. I don't know why.
A lot of that has to do because especially like season 1 is so like action packed and like it is happening every episode, and then you get to season 2 and it's like kind of slower, but
Mhm.
like it pays off. I kind of like season 2 a little bit more because it's just more character development.
Let it breathe
Sophie,
more.
do you have something to say, Sophie?
Oh, no. I was just agreeing.
Oh, okay. But yeah, well, yeah, like it's a really good show. And then season 3 is probably my favorite out of this series. Like, there's an episode where they shot it to where it looks all like one take, where there's no cuts, and it's probably the most impressive thing I've seen like on a TV show. And like it was coming on USA, like not like a premium cable network basically, and it's
Yeah.
just crazy they let him do all that stuff. Like there's an
Mhm.
episode in season 4 where there's no sound at all, and
Mhm.
like there's 2 lines of dialogue. There's a line of dialogue at the beginning of the episode and a line of dialogue at the end of the episode, and it's insane. It's so good. I really love that show. It's amazing.
And I love you bringing up like the mental health aspect of it because I think we all 3 of us have mentioned BoJack Horseman, Haunting of Hill House, and Mr. Robot, which I think there's been a trend in like TV shows. All 3 of those deal with
Dealing with
mental
that, yeah.
health and
Oh, even
depression
just,
and
just adding my
yes, of course.
Lost also
Loss also.
deals with mental health too.
Yeah,
So
and I
there you
think like it does like I think 6 Feet Under kind of does too, but like
go. Mhm.
especially nowadays, like
Yeah.
it's like because mental health awareness has like even skyrocketed forward. Like all 3 shows that we literally just mentioned back to back to back,
Mhm.
like really deal with depression and mental health in this very like nuanced and interesting, good, helpful, healthy way.
I can't suggest and recommend Haunting of Hill House more. Sophie, that was a really good recommendation because it's just, I think around whenever I met you, I was rewatching Haunting of Hill House and we were talking about it. And I remember texting you and just being like sobbing at the ending again. No, it's Haunting of Hill House deals with like those kind of themes in a way that I haven't seen a lot of shows handle, which I guess is what you're kind of touching on too.
Yeah.
They each have like their own unique takes of dealing with it. And like, I don't know, like if you like horror at all, if you like, honestly, it's not even that scary of a show. It
Yeah.
does get you, but it's so moving. Like it's such a moving show. It's very has a lot of heart in it, and like it just shines light on like different forms of addiction, different forms of mental health like disorders, it like generational like mental health, like uh like PTSD, like just it just does it in such a clever smart way where like it's one of those shows like you watch it all the way through and everything you've been like wondering the entire time like episode to episode where you're just like what the is going on like it's like oh that's scary and what the hell's going on, I'm confused. By the end of the episode it recontextualizes all of it and you're just like just mind blown, and you rewatch it and it doesn't ruin it for you, it makes you appreciate it even more. Like I rewatched it I think 4 times. It's so
And you notice new things every single time you watch it. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
like if you haven't seen that show, you owe it to yourself to watch that show. Okay.
doesn't it also have an episode where it's faked like one take?
Yeah,
I
it
feel
does.
like I've heard this about it.
I don't want to spoil too much about it because I'm pretty sure like one of you is going to watch it. And that's a show I don't want to spoil for people, but there
Correct.
is like a funeral scene, and it is like a fake one take, and I guess not a funeral. It's is it a wake? Is that what it is? Like a viewing? Is that the proper word?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just remembering it so well done. They use the one take to really showcase like some interpersonal drama between the characters, and they do it in such a clever way while also super heightening tension. Like you're constantly holding your breath during that scene, like knowing something's going to happen, and like stuff does happen.
Yeah.
And it's just
That's
and
almost.
then it cuts to another scene like beautifully. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, you're good. Like that almost kind of like it sounds like how Mr. Robot uses like one takes, especially like it uses a lot of like weird framing and extreme close-ups along with the long takes to kind of emphasize the tension or like what the main character is feeling. So yeah, it's really good. I'll have to put Haunting of Hill House on the list.
Do it. I think, Sophie, you may remember this. The scene I'm talking about, I don't even think it has music going on during that scene. I think it's literally just ambience, like of like a storm and the creaking of the
I
like.
honestly don't remember them using music a lot, and I think that's one of the things that I really liked about it. Because I'm very picky about music and things.
Yeah. Do you think the show benefits from the format of it being a mini series? Because we've kind of talked about how
Yes.
Lost is like was a network program, so it went on for too long because it didn't have like a plan. It wasn't like set in stone. This is how many episodes we're doing. We're going. It just had to keep going until it got canceled, right? Yeah. So like, I feel like the mini series like nowadays I think is a really like cool format of TV show that we're dealing with. Like of course Queen's Gambit came out and everyone like liked that. It was widely acclaimed for the general market. I thought it was okay too, but I feel like Sophie might just actually hate it, but I don't know. Yeah,
okay. I haven't seen it.
I don't hate it. I can watch it. I just
And then, like Fleabag is another good like show that's like only 2 seasons long and it's basically a mini series.
That's another show that I need to watch.
I think mini series are like a really cool format that like the more we see because
Chernobyl. Yeah, one I've heard really good things about. I haven't watched because I suck.
Oh, that one was so good. That one was. I
want to watch it.
That was another really good one that did make me cry, like massively, and like I watched that all in one day. I just couldn't stop.
Isn't it like 6 episodes or something?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
HBO as well.
Another, I guess since we're on miniseries, like I watched Watchmen week to week, and that was pretty awesome.
Okay, so
oh god,
I watched 2 episodes of that, and I got bored. Should I go back to it?
It definitely picks up. Like the first 2 episodes kind of just like give you a little background, I guess. It definitely picks up like once you get to the middle of the like episode 6 is probably one of my favorite episodes of TV in the last few.
Adding it back to my list.
Like the first 2 episodes, I definitely get where you're coming from. Like when I watched the first episode, I was like, okay,
it's a lot of exposition.
Yeah,
like a lot. A lot.
a lot.
Like it doesn't. I think that's one thing that I like about it. Like it doesn't really hold your hand a whole lot. Like it when you start watching, it comes in fully expecting you to know everything that's happened in the graphic novel beforehand. So
yeah,
like it doesn't take.
That's what it was. Yeah,
it doesn't take its time to like really explain a whole lot of.
What it did was like, and this is my issue, because if you don't know, like it's based off a graphic novel, yes, but also it's like direct continuation almost from the film that came out a million years ago, right? Essentially, right? Like,
I know there's like that, like the movie is pretty faithful to the graphic novel. if you, especially if you watch the director's cut, but like it makes everything way too stylish, I think, and it kind of misses the point in doing that.
For sure. Yeah.
But oh, go ahead.
I guess from what I remember, like watching the show, like it literally just drops you into the shit, basically,
pretty much.
and you're very confused. And my only exposure to Watchmen wasn't through graphic novels; it was through that movie that came out a million years ago. And like, so like, it straight up. I remember after the first episode, I had to like start Googling, and I feel that. I think I do that with every show in general because I just like fun facts and knowing more things, right? But that show, it was more like I was doing homework because I legit had no idea what the was going on.
It kind of does like a like a good comparison for it is like Blade Runner 2049, where like you can watch it as its own thing, but like there's stuff you're gonna kind of miss if you don't know the previous stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sure if I keep watching, if I got to that third or fourth episode, I'm sure like I would have felt like less stranded, you know, like on an island or something, right?
Like in Lost, yeah.
We got to go back, Kate. Go back. I'm an alcoholic now.
I guess we can go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. This would just start getting into a rant about like people in superhero movies, so I don't think we should even go down that right now.
I
know what you were saying. Let's move on.
Are you about to transition to BoJack? Is that what you're about to do?
Oh, I was about to just transition to animated shows in general.
Shows, baby. Before we do that, there is one more show I need to touch on. Have any of you seen Fringe?
I've heard of it. I haven't watched it.
Sophie, if you liked X-Files, granted, again, I was traumatized by X-Files, but from what I gather of X-Files and what other people have gathered from X-Files, so not just me, okay? Fringe is basically like, it was a TV show, serialized, 5 seasons, was on, I don't know where it aired at.
I think it was on like Fox or something.
Fox or something, right? Very similar to the X-Files, especially the first season. It's like a copy of X-Files. It's like a cop show dealing with weird alien time travel, timey-wimey. Okay. Second season takes that concept and is like gone, just completely gone. And it becomes like a very narrative focused thing, like goes like a little Twin Peaks-ish in terms of like abstract, really weird, timey-wimey concepts, and just goes down this crazy parallel universe like plot line. It's complete utter nonsense and chaos, but I would say some of the best acting is on that show, especially with what's that guy's name? Hold on a second. He was in Lord of the Rings. John Noble's in it. Okay. And he does a phenomenal job in it. And by the end of the show, it deals with themes of like memory loss, like of course, like depression. There's like a very heavy theme in that show, as well as like the concept of that. I feel like very few like films have touched on, but mostly timey-wimey stuff does. The concept of like love beyond just our own like confines, basically, right? And how like love can reach beyond parallel universes, beyond existence. Like it focuses a lot on parental like connectivity, basically, and daddy issues, and like ultimately daddy issues. It all comes down to daddy issues. But like it's so good. It's so good. I thought it was going to be absolute trash. I don't like cop shows. I think I guess there's not that many that come out nowadays. And the show does like start like that, and then it just trashes it in the second season. And beyond afterwards, like I don't think any other shows made me cry as much as Fringe. Except for Lost, maybe as much as Lost. But that's not a fair comparison because
it actually kind of is.
Went out of its way.
It actually kind of is because you were right. I looked it up. It was on Fox.
J.J. Abrams.
And J.J. Abrams also created. I wonder what he also made that we've been talking about. I don't know, guys. Lost, maybe? I don't know. Crazy.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
J.J. Abrams was busy. Jeez.
Yeah, he was.
busy time for him.
Yeah.
And another show I'll recommend, last one, The Leftovers. If you like
That's
existential,
another show that I
very
need to
deep
watch.
depression, dealing with like faith, depression, trauma, and like I'm not going to get into it. It's too long, but my God, that's a great show, but very, very heavy. If you like feeling depressed, watch that show, especially the first season. It will depress the out of you. If you're in a good mood, you're going to not be after that episode, after that season. Sorry.
And it's not a long commitment either. It's like 3 seasons. It's very
3 seasons,
short.
yep.
Very short. Very...
And it was made by the guy that made Lost. And I don't mean J.J. Abrams. I mean like the actual writer.
Oh,
Some
the
other-
showrunner,
some other-
Damon
Showrunner.
Lindelof.
Yeah, that dude.
Also did Watchmen.
Yeah. Also did watch.
Wait, what? I gotta watch Watchmen.
It's all tying in together. All these things are all tying
It's all
together.
connected. All right, we can talk about
Shows up
animated stuff now, unless Sophie wants to add some more stuff in.
I think Sophie's ready for animated. That's where we're gonna be.
You ready for animated, Sophie? Go down the
Rabbit hole
that
of-
is animation. Start us off.
Oh my yes, Trevor. Please.
So, like, my favorite animated show of all time is Futurama. I love that
nice.
show so much. I don't remember how I got into it. I just remember when I was a kid, it used to come on Adult Swim, and I used to
Just
stay
on
up
all the time.
when I wasn't supposed to be up, and I would watch it. And I remember there's like an episode where like Fry finds out what happened to his brother, and his brother like named his son after him, and like took his name basically on his gravestone. And I remember being a kid and was like, it is me up. What is this? And eventually they brought it back to Comedy Central, and I watched like every episode from going forward. But it's just like a really good show. Like, I think because it's made by the same dude who made The Simpsons, Matt Groening. So I don't know. I feel like it's his best show because it's kind of concise. It's only like 5 or 6 seasons, so it doesn't like The Simpsons like stretch way too thin to
It
where
feels way longer than that to me, I guess, because my first exposure to Futurama was it being in syndication on Comedy Central, and like it would just be on all the time, like all the time.
Always.
that's like they would just like you'd wake up and it'd be Futurama and you go to sleep. Futurama, still
Futurama,
on. Like,
exactly.
dang,
Yeah.
like
It's like limbo, but Futurama.
I
I'm
feel
not
like
complaining, but
I feel like the only episode I've seen of Futurama was just on TV, and it was just like, watch it. I'm like, okay.
I think I've watched it probably like 3 or 4 times. It's one of the few shows I don't rewatch TV shows a whole lot. It's one of the few shows that I actually like just kind of watch over and over again.
like I said, I guess I've watched it 1,000 times, but not purposefully in the way that like I was committed to watching. So it's such a weird experience, right? It was just on, right? And like, but I've seen it. I do like Futurama. It's really funny. I like the art style, and just like it does like a really fun thing with like just parodying like just so much and like in a really just interesting setting. I will say there is an episode, if I remember correctly, that's really sad. It has to do with a dog, I think, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that just brought back
God.
trauma.
Right for it.
I think because I think it talks about like what happened to Fry's dog after he like got cryogenically frozen, and it was like I don't know. There's moments in that show like you'll be laughing, and then it'll be like, now I'm gonna give you an existential crisis real quick. So I don't know. I feel like a lot of it, probably the reason I remember it so fondly is probably like a lot of it has to do with like I watched it kind of out of order because it was on syndication. So
Same.
I would watch episodes and be like, what happens next? And they play like an episode that's like way further down the line. Like I didn't see the ending until like years after it was off the air. So I was like, oh, so this is how the show ends. So, but yeah.
How does it end?
Basically,
Like in just a very quick bullet point way.
basically the way that it ends is like, of course, Fry and Leela like get together, and then like
Oh,
it
okay.
ends like a time loop. So it's like the show is constantly looping from beginning to end. So it kind of makes it perfect for binge, honestly, because
Yeah.
like at the end it's like Fry and Leela, like they're old people, and they're like, "You want to do this again?" Yeah, and they go, and it starts over from the beginning, and it's crazy.
It's lost all over again.
Oh God. Everything comes back to Lost with this one.
I don't know what
Actually-
was like 2000 shows and time loops. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
just
Russian Doll, right?
It was
a
a
new
rough
show
time,
that
you
was
know.
Time loop.
Just,
yeah, but that's my pick. Opening the floor.
Sophie, we haven't heard from you in a while. What is your animated
Yeah,
choice?
and my Wi-Fi was like, I guess it died. But I will say, I did like Futurama. It was actually one of the few like Adult Swim comedies that I did watch. I'm not really into that at all. And then I want to throw in a little bit of a throwback. I was just talking about this with my dad the other day. Tailspin is on Disney Plus, and that has a bussin' theme song, and there's that. It's like all those like super old Gargoyles
Oh, Gargoyles
on
slaps.
Disney Plus. I love Gargoyles. Gargoyles and Yu-Gi-Oh is what I started watching when quarantine first hit, and so like I just got like super into those. And then I feel like I would be amiss if I didn't throw out like a shout out to like Pokemon, because like obviously I grew up watching that.
Oh, yeah.
You know you're
Hawkins
getting
Frying
old
Pan.
when you hear the Pokemon theme song and you're like, kind of sad now.
Don't be sad. It's still going.
It reminds you of Smosh.
Oh God.
Ooh.
Stop it.
Ah,
And how
That's how they got
Like,
famous,
we
right?
we have to have a show about YouTube channels, because I
That'd
would
be
pop
fun.
off on that.
I'd be down
Walmart.
for that.
Yes.
Yeah,
That'd be fun.
that would be
I'd come
fun.
back for that.
I've only for Adult Swim, I've only seen one show that I really love.
It doesn't have to be Adult Swim though, right?
I know, but since we're speaking on that, I want to
Sure.
keep like the topic going. I don't know if any of you have seen this. It's a beautiful, wonderful, very short show. Every episode's like 10 minutes long. It's the show called Moral Oral.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Hold up.
For viewers that have not seen this, it's so good. Okay, so it's the show that each episode's 10 minutes long, and it only ran for like 3 seasons or something, and every episode's like super short, and it's about
like claymation, right?
Yeah, it's
Something
because
like
it's parroting old like Christian educational videos where they used a lot of claymation to teach like lessons about Christ or whatever. And this show is like a parody of those, because the show is about this kid who is very young and very naive and takes everything that's told to him very literally. And so he's learning stuff in church that he takes to like the illogical extremes. So the first season is just very funny and just like super jokey. So like to like phrase it, like he learns in church that like God doesn't like you to waste. So for an episode, he decides to sell his pee to kids because he learns that you can drink it. And he's like, God told me not to waste, so I'm gonna give my pee to everyone else so that it's not wasted. And so he takes it to this very extreme. And that's like the main hook for the first show. And it's so short that it's like, moral of the story is, kids. And then season 2 happens. And then season 3 happens. And it gets progressively more about depression. And his parents are like going through a divorce. And it's like this whole show that like, it's just like a fun like parody and like commentary and like organized religion, but then slowly becomes a show about how like adults are sad and you should be happy about being a kid because as you grow older, depression and sadness and trauma starts happening, and then life is not so
Yeah.
grand anymore. And it's like,
It's a very uplifting
and
podcast.
just and you don't. It's just like you don't expect that from the first season because it has a one running gag, and it just kind of does that in different scenarios, even though it's still always funny. And then the show just gets progressively more serious, and it's under the veneer of this like claymation thing, and it's
That's
like
fun.
so brilliant and so good, and like not many people have seen it because it was like 10 minutes long, so it's probably one of those things they like showed in between like their longer
Yeah.
shows, right?
That's what I remember it as.
But you can watch it on HBO Max, and like the experience of it as a show, watching it all the way through is like gorgeous, and there's some great music from the Mountain Goats thrown in there sometimes. That's pretty cool. But besides that, great show on HBO Max as well. Everyone should watch it. I don't think a lot of people have seen it. It's so
Just get HBO Max.
so brilliant. I mean,
right here, editor, right here. right here. Right here. Come on.
I mean,
Was it-
camera now.
HBO Max is what Wonder Woman 1984 premiered on, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, because they're like,
Oh, you really should get a sponsorship.
oh yeah, you had a whole episode on that. That's fun. I mean, it's HBO. They're known. They're like they were put on the map for their shows. So of course, all the
Yeah,
good shows are like literally on there because they also own Comedy Central or a partnership with Comedy Central or something. They're also
Mhm.
like partnership with Studio Ghibli. So those are animated movies. We won't get into those, but they have stuff like that too. And I don't know if we wanted to oust ourselves as weebs, but I do
I'm
have
talking
some.
about anime, right?
I do have some anime recommendations. too.
I guess I'll wrap up the Adult Swim thing with I don't Adult Swim's so weird because they have like Comedy Central, they have like a lot of syndicated stuff that I don't know if it originated there or not, but you know, gotta give a shout out to my man Captain Planet. So 5 a.m. Captain Planet, he's here to save the day, you know. And like Zoids, which I hated but loved at the same time, and also Inuyasha. I think it was around that same time slot every day before school.
I have some.
And
Can I
fuck.
throw in real quick while we're talking
Go.
about those classic animations? The original Transformers animated series
Yes.
is great, but also f***ing terrible. I remember specifically one scene from the original, and it's in one episode where they're throwing a parade for the Autobots, and I guess they didn't hire any like additional voice actors for like the crowd of the parade. So it's just like one guy going like, "Yay, Autobots!" And that's like it for the crowd. And my dad rewinded that like 4 times.
Hey, it came out with the movie and it taught every kid in the 80s about death. So hey, there's that.
There was a show. Oh,
That's kind of like my dad. Me and my little brother. I remember when the G.I. Joe. This is unrelated. The G.I. Joe movie came out. He was like, "Yo, you guys got to see this." And we watched the cartoons before we went to see the movie. And it's another show that's like kind of bad, but it's kind
Cheesy.
of awesome at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Knowing
just
is half the
remind me of
battle.
that.
Knowing is half the
Exactly.
battle.
it just reminds me of these YouTube parodies of the G.I. Joe cartoons. I don't know if you guys have ever seen them. They're super old, but like they would basically do these like abridged G.I. Joe episodes.
We're bringing up YouTube,
Yeah, we can't. You're right.
bro.
You're right. What?
Oh, it
You
lagged for
or
a
I
second.
lagged. Yeah.
I said we
doing
can't talk about YouTube hoops.
You're right.
Bro. Can't talk about
You're right. I'm ADHD. It's not my
That
fault.
was-
Okay.
Okay.
that is the golden age of YouTube, bro.
Oh yeah. Okay, going back to Adult Swim thing. There was a show that I was on the Adult Swim that I actually really liked, and I have no idea what the name is, and I've been searching for it this whole time, so I'm gonna give up on it. But I just remember it was this dude with like, he was living with like his brother or whatever. He had like blue hair or something, and it was like a slice of life little comedy thing. It was really weird and bizarre. And beyond that, Robot Chicken was fucking
Right.
sick.
That is
So,
the
oh yeah,
Robot Chicken is responsible for me knowing a lot of stuff I shouldn't have known as a kid.
hell yeah.
Me and my little brother, we would be up to like God knows who when, and we'd be like, "Yo, Robot Chicken is on." And
Mm.
oh, go ahead. So
No, my brother and I used to do the same thing. My parents would go to bed, and underneath, my brother had a lofted bed when he was a kid,
Mm.
and underneath his bed, he had a whole, like TV,
Mm.
and we would sneak into his room and watch Robot Chicken after my parents went to sleep.
it's like a whole bunch
I found the name. I don't know what. I have no idea why you triggered it for me, Trevor. But it's
Oh,
Mission
shit.
Hill. That was the name of the animated show. Anyway, moving on. So,
Yeah. Mission Hill. I don't remember that I don't remember when it came on, but I know
it was a long time ago. But they had it like randomly syndicated, like everything on Adult Swim. Right? So,
Got you.
Mhm.
I do
What about
remember one show that me and my brother love very much to this day. It's actually, I think it's like an anime kind of, but it's like a comedy, like Shin Shan. It's this like Japanese kid, and he's in elementary school, and he's just doing wild shit every episode, and it's the funniest thing. I love that show so much. Like I think it's on Hulu or something. It's on one of these services, but
One of them.
I love that show so much. It once again, like Robot Chicken, it's a show that taught me a lot of stuff that I shouldn't have been saying as a kid. But you know,
For
like
sure.
there's a joke in the show where he's like, kiss my, and he like pulls his pants down. And like I'm a 7-year-old, 8-year-old watching this. Like what the at like 12 o'clock in the morning. And that was the funniest thing. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's one of my favorite shows.
Shin-chan, dude.
It's genius.
Oh yeah.
I don't know any. I know that the person who voices the mom on that show is like Gohan's voice actor from
Right.
Dragon Ball Z.
Mhm.
So that's all I know about it. I don't know who came up with it. I need to figure that out.
I
Yeah.
just searched it, and apparently Laura Bailey's in that show.
Oh.
She's like a pretty prolific voice actress, and also is in Critical Role. Anyway, it's a whole thing. But so hi.
Separate episode.
Counts as
Are
a
we
TV show,
opening the
right?
floor for Crawford's Weeb Corner?
Oh my god.
Yeah, I
Here's-
think Shin-chan naturally extends into that, right?
Here's the
Yeah.
thing though. When I say anime, I'm into really basic B word
It's okay.
anime.
You're opening the
Like,
floor,
I'm-
and we'll
I'm-
we'll talk
I'm-
deeper things.
I'm a very noob anime watcher. I only have 3. Cowboy Bebop is amazing. Theme song slaps, as the kids say. What?
I'm
What are you
agreeing.
saying? No, what's Anthony mouthing? What are you doing?
Death Note, but keep going.
Okay, I was Death Note. What's the
figured it was
second one?
gonna be
Calm
one.
down.
Yeah.
I have it on Blu-ray. I need
Got you pegged.
Yeah, I have it on Blu-ray. I just need to watch. I watched the first. How many episodes are there? There's
I think it's like
37.
yeah.
I watched the first 20 and then stopped
Trevor.
for whatever reason. Trevor knows.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what I do typically with anime is that I'm outing myself right now. I'm way too cool for this. But I typically start, and then like halfway through I just get like, ugh, this is like every other anime ever, and then I just never finish it.
I have that.
Or like
same
they all
issue.
have like really sad last episodes, so I watch everything
No.
but the last episode just so I never
I don't
have
do
to
that
feel
because
it.
I love feeling sad, but but I have that same issue. I haven't watched anime in a long time. Someone had to force me to watch Attack on Titan, and it was actually pretty good the first season. So
The
that was
last
fun. So
the
Go ahead.
last anime that I watched was last semester. I got into Code Geass, which is a
Oh,
really
okay.
good show.
Oh, let's talk about Code Geass. So here's the thing. I remember watching that like a long time ago, and it was right after Death Note ended, and everyone was looking for that next Death Note fix because Death Note's super. I think the reason a lot of people like Death Note is because it had a lot of mature themes, and it
was edgy,
very edgy and intellectual, right? But and Code Geass like rode that train rode out of the gate. That show was good, but also really weird in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
go ahead.
It's definitely
Trevor.
like a strange show. Like at first, because I have a weird it's one of those shows that I started like a long time ago, and I just never finished it. So I was like, one day I ran out of shows to watch. I was like, let me just watch this, and I got really invested, and I was like, this show is really good. And I don't know, it's probably the most I've been on my toes watching an anime show besides Death Note, because like characters die, happens that you don't expect, and you'll I remember I don't know if should I spoil it?
Yeah, go for it.
There's an episode where this princess she dies, and the way it caught me off guard, I was like, what the am I watching?
Because you're talking about the love, and she was like a love interest to the main character or something, right? Is that who you're talking about?
I think it's the main character's sister.
That's who it is. That's what
she
it is.
tries to bring together. She tries to bring together all the factions so that it won't be going to war anymore. And the way the Geass works is he can basically tell anybody what he wants them to do, and they have to do it. So he accidentally said, I could tell you to kill everyone. And she kills everyone. Craziest I ever seen. I was like, what the because you watch and you're like, no. Hey, no way they're gonna do this. No way. And she starts blasting on him, and I was sitting there what
is that her name? Lena Lee? Was that her name? That name just came to me just now. Was it?
His sister's name is Nunnally. It's Princess Euphemia.
That's what it is.
Princess Euphemia is the one who killed all the people. But that show is really good.
Is it a sci-fi type?
Yeah, it's like a sci-fi.
Thing?
So it's very similar to Death Note in the way that it does have mature themes, and everything that we said before can apply to it. But it is it's like a mech anime.
Yeah. Okay.
But that was the thing I didn't like about it, but I still love the show if that says anything. Even though it's crazy and difficult to follow.
The mech stuff is kind of the worst part of the show. It's kind of just hey.
Especially so at first they don't, if I remember right, the first season or whatever, or I don't even remember how many seasons it had, God,
I think it's 2
anyway. The first half of it doesn't focus that much on the mech stuff, and then towards the end I just remembered that was a lot of it.
Because basically towards the end it's basically just every episode's a battle basically.
Sure. The fan as it does, right?
But
okay. I was looking for the last anime that I watched, and I probably watched it in 2017. And it's called Polar Bear Cafe. And it's this really little kid anime about this polar bear and his panda bear. And the polar bear he runs a cafe, and then the panda works at the zoo, and it's just super cute, and
that's wholesome.
That's what I got.
So I'll throw some anime real quick, just fire them out. So I like I was saying before, I haven't watched any in a long time. My friends have been trying to force me to watch some of the most recent ones. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Some people keep recommending that to me, and I'm just like, no, I don't want to. Leave me alone. But my favorite one of all time is called Gintama. It's this comedy and someone that knows it in the wild. Anyways, so it's this comedy, it's just a massive parody of all anime. Sophie, honestly, I think you would kind of like it because you were pointing out that a lot of your issues with watching anime were the tropes. It makes fun of all of them in a very funny way. And I think honestly that anime is what ruined other shows for me in that regard, because it made fun of them so much that it made me aware of all the that anime did and all the tropes. I just couldn't watch them anymore. It makes fun of Dragon Ball Z like a million times, and it's a fantastic show, but it's also one of those typical anime that's gone on for way too long. I think it's like One Piece where it has almost 600 episodes or something. Maybe less, maybe 400, but it has a load of content, right?
That's how dedicated they are to the parody. They're parodying animes that are like 600
it's the ultimate parody.
600 episodes.
To be honest, it's gotten
Brilliant.
canceled like 5 different times, and each time the thing was, it's like leading up to its
Brilliant.
cancellation, they were with fans by being like, yeah, we're gonna be off the air soon, we're gonna get canceled, and fans were like, oh, you're just kidding, and then actually got canceled. And then they were like, yeah, we weren't kidding, but we're coming back with Gintama with an apostrophe in the name. Because we don't have the rights anymore. They would do that 1,000 times. It was so stupid, dude. Anyway, like the closest like to dip out of anime for a second, the show that like Gintama reminds me of in a lot of ways is the show Community, if anyone's ever seen that. It's just very self-aware and just pokes fun at like tropes in a way. If you like Community and you're a little weebish, you may like Gintama. There you go.
There you go. A new adjective.
Last one, I'll say Full Metal Alchemist is my all-time favorite.
Hey.
Yes.
And I watched Brotherhood. I'm not referring to Brotherhood though, because I barely remember Brotherhood. I'm talking about original Full Metal Alchemist. The one that breaks your heart at the end, makes a movie to break your heart again, and then I think it made 2 movies. They both break your heart if they did.
See,
but yeah.
The only one I watched. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Sophie, go ahead.
The only one I watched was Brotherhood.
Yeah, that's the same one that I watched.
I've heard fantastic things about I've watched Brotherhood. Brotherhood's great. It's great. For me, I still to this day I watched it. It didn't resonate with me as much as the original did. And maybe that's because I really like depressing things. I don't know. The original show is very sad. It does not have a happy ending. It's horrible. The ending's horrible. It's very depressing. So, anyway.
I've always wanted to go back and visit it because I only watched the first like 15 episodes, and that was when I was like 16 and just getting into anime for the first time, where I had like an anime phase, like as all of us do.
Everyone, I think, maybe not Sophie, but
no,
I think everyone.
Before you even finish that sentence, I did have an anime phase.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Also, while we're on the subject of animation, I'll go ahead and embarrass myself. I did have a brony phase, and it did last for more than a year. And yes, there are pictures.
Hey, there it is. Favorite pony. Go.
But, yeah, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. It's like 60 episodes or something. It's amazing.
Oh, so yeah, it does a really good. The original Full Metal Alchemist had like an issue with that. All anime has that issue where it goes on too long, right?
Yeah.
A lot of I wouldn't say filler because I love that show, but I may be biased. I know Brotherhood does a lot better job managing that stuff.
Yeah, it's more.
I don't remember how Brotherhood ends though.
Oh, I'll spoil it.
Tell me, rip it off.
Basically, what happens, like the way Brotherhood ends, it's basically it's a lot more optimistic ending, but in order like the Edward, he has the like I forget what he had to do, but he loses his ability to do alchemy
right
at the end of the show.
That's nothing compared to the original.
Like his brother gets his body back. Oh,
bring it closer.
Oh
my god, that's hilarious.
Yo,
Jenny Nicholson, I didn't know you were in the call. Heck yeah.
Wait, what?
What?
It was a reference to a YouTuber, but that's also another episode from now.
Yeah.
Reel it in.
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is really good. My friends tried to get me to watch this show for months, and I finally watched. I was like, "This is really good," and they were like, "We told you."
Told you, man.
I'm glad that you brought up One Piece because I'm like a
no
mastermind on the My first semester in college, I no, my second semester, I got super into One Piece. I binged that 3 months.
Wait, you finished One Piece?
Jesus.
It's not even finished. That's I
Yeah,
caught
it's
up.
not done.
There's like 700 episodes. How many episodes are there at this point?
There's like
Okay.
900. I didn't watch. See, here's the thing I did. Because I
You gotta hit like you watch Naruto, where you skip the fluff.
yeah, basically that's what I did.
Okay, yeah.
Like for the first half,
Okay.
because there's a pre-time skip and there's a post-time skip. Getting my weed off today, but like I watched the whole first half, and then the second half, like the newer arcs, is kind of where pacing kind of falls off. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna read this. So I read it
Oh,
and I
Yeah.
caught up, and I was like, but like One Piece is it's one of the shows that I think like it has a misconception of going on too long, but in actuality, like the story, every arc builds upon itself. It's all leading towards something. So like even the current arc, like you can see like it's about to wrap up. Like is it a little long? Is it long? Yeah, it's really long. I was exhausted.
Episodes long. Yeah.
957.
What? Okay, I
957.
googled One Piece total episodes and I got 931. So even Google doesn't know. Who knows if that's even right,
I
Carl?
think they're at like
This is the IMDb number, and it has a link to all the episodes. So I would
My
assume
God.
this is
Yeah, I trust IMDb over random Google.
yeah,
So
it's 957 episodes.
that's a
long.
Trevor. Let's do the math here. What's the runtime?
And they
it's like
thirty
okay, 30-minute episodes.
23
Just about. Every
23
arc,
probably because there's no
commercials.
commercials, so it's probably like
Yeah.
25, 24 an episode.
Oh.
I used
Someone
to
better at math.
While
Do
we're
it, Sophie.
talking
Do the
about-
math.
Why would I do the math? I'm so bad at
Oh
math.
my god. Okay, I'll
do the
try.
math.
While we're
Yeah, you do
on animes that are very long,
Mm,
Naruto, as I just
Oof,
mentioned.
yeah.
But sometimes they revive it with Boruto.
Yeah.
Is that actually a thing? I thought it was just a movie.
No, that's an actual
No,
thing.
Boruto's got his own show.
That's not
I
what
can't believe
Shippuden
they
is?
named his kid Boruto.
I mean,
Is that
you
not
know.
Shippuden?
You know that they're trying to do like the Dragon Ball Z thing where they're like, Goku. Now you saw him as a kid. Now you're gonna see him as an adult. Now we have
And
his
now you're
son.
gonna see his kids.
Yeah, like
Ah,
Dragon Ball Z is still going too. God, just put it out of its misery. It's a grandpa.
see. I
No.
watched that in high school, actually.
Kamehamehas for days, boy.
My senior year of high school, because my friend was like, "You like superheroes? You'll like My Hero Academia." So I got into that, and then
That's what another one people have been recommending to me, and I'm just not gonna bother.
it's a very by the numbers shonen.
Mhm.
That's
it's
what
not-
it seemed like to me, right? So
It's not very original. Like it uses a lot of tropes and whatnot. Oh, did I freeze for a second?
Mhm.
But
Yes, you did, but you're good now.
okay. But it's a very by the numbers shonen. But I watched that and I was like, you know what? I've never seen Dragon Ball Z in its entirety. So I was like, every day I used to go to algebra class and not do my work and be on my phone watching episodes of Dragon Ball Z with my friends. And it's something. It's a okay show. Like only reason I don't hate it because it's kind of like the blueprint that every shonen followed basically. But
Mhm.
what else did I watch
Do you-
back?
do you watch the like abridged stuff? I heard that helps a little bit.
I watched the Kai version of the show, so it's like, oh, go ahead.
what was the One Piece total episodes? Was it 951?
957.
Worse.
But yeah, I got into Dragon Ball Z. What else did I watch? I watched the first 4 parts of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I don't recommend it unless you're really
Mm,
into like crazy because
yeah.
it,
I've
It is
I
so
just know
hard.
the memes.
It is
Mhm.
so hard to explain. I like part 4 a lot because it's kind of like a slice of life type deal, and they're like trying to figure out a mystery and whatnot. But like the first 3
Okay.
parts, you'll be like, "Yo, what the is this, man?" Like, I don't know, but
The last one I wanted to mention is one that I probably shouldn't mention that I love, but I love it so much and I'm probably ashamed, but that's okay. Ouran High School Host Club.
Great
No,
anime.
that's
ooh,
valid.
that's a good one.
That's
Love,
valid.
Fantastic.
love,
Amazing.
love Ouran High School Host Club.
So
So
good.
good.
If you haven't
The
seen it, what
best.
are you doing with your life?
So good.
I
It
feel
makes
like
me-
that's the one that like everybody who's not into anime watches
Okay.
because it's
It's
just
good.
it's just good.
It's
just
just good. It's
It
great.
transcends like the medium, basically. Like, just-
Yay! I'm so
Yeah.
glad
Yeah.
I don't have to be ashamed that I like.
I thought you were gonna
Ouran High
say
School Host
like
Club.
I thought you were gonna say like
Like
Jackie.
Bleach.
Okay.
No, I
Let's
used
talk
to.
about
I,
Bleach for a second.
I used to be a
No, we
Rosario
don't have
plus.
to talk about Bleach.
Let's talk about Bleach and why it's the worst anime that's ever been
Okay.
made.
That's because it's tropey, right? That's like the
It's
tropey.
so
is trope,
tropey.
as
Like
trope-
it has the
tropes
Dragon Ball
get.
Z syndrome of like, I'm gonna fight you. We're gonna talk about each other fighting. 5 episodes. Now we fought, but we're gonna stop fighting and talk some more. And now we're fighting again. Someone else is coming to fight. We're fighting them
All-
together now. Now we're fighting each other again.
All I remember about Bleach is like being in elementary school. It's like, yo, that I like the art style. This looks cool, and I never
Mhm.
watched it because it's like some edgy stuff.
So the first season's really. Wait, it looks like Sophie's about to say something. I can't tell.
Does Sailor Moon count as an anime?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It does.
100%.
Yeah.
Anime
And Sailor
from the
Moon's
80s, baby.
fan- fantastic.
Both the original and Crystal. I watched them both.
I don't think I've seen Crystal.
Crystal gets really weird because in the second season, there's like a mild incest plot.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Very
and
keeping with the
that
times.
got really awkward.
Oh,
Wait.
very.
Am I
Oh,
back?
Yeah,
Hello?
you're back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
it's all
like-
good.
Okay. I have no idea what you heard and what you didn't.
We heard about a mild
incest
incest plot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's like it's really uncomfortable there for a second because like Sailor Moon and Tuxedo Mask like have a child, Chibi, something I don't know, and then they like go into the future and bring her back, or the kid comes and then like is in the past, and then she's like stealing Tuxedo Mask. She's trying to steal Tuxedo Mask from Sailor Moon, and it's like really weird because you're like, that's your dad, bruh. But it's so good, and I really enjoy. I just love Sailor Moon. It's just so good.
Yeah, of course that counts. The only thing that doesn't
So-
count is Avatar, but we don't need to talk about that. Wait,
Okay,
sorry.
up, dude. 971.
9:57.
957.
Jesus.
I haven't slept.
Apparently.
Dude, you
Rendering.
just have to do.
Sophie's
You
gonna
just
do it
have to
real
do.
quick.
Damn.
Mhm.
957 times 25. Divide that by 60, right? And then you get that many hours, correct?
That's what I
Mhm.
did, but it seemed too long.
I'm not good at math, so
I'm not. We're all film people. We're not good at math. It's fine. I don't know either.
That
I don't
seems,
know
it just
either.
seems too long. Right?
I don't know why I'm saying that.
Well-
I like know the answer and it's obvious, but I also don't really know.
398. Let's do 399. So 399 divided by, let's see, 24 hours
Yeah.
in a day.
the 1080C math podcast. Right now.
It's definitely
Oh my
definitely-
God.
it is- in 2020 it was estimated that it would take 46 days to catch up with all of One Piece.
Oh, it took me 3 months, so
Yeah, I can
That
see
adds
that.
up.
Yeah, I can see
yeah,
Checks
so
out.
like 90 days. But
it.
yeah, that
Anyway, don't worry about that.
We're moving on now. I've let it
But-
go.
Yeah. so-
We were talking about Bleach for a smidge of a second. I won't make fun of it anymore. I will give Bleach some props. The first season was really. What? No, yeah.
I said I won't. If
So
you watch
Sophie's the
Bleach, you.
So first season of Bleach is really good, really strong, and then it just I can't remember what season it is. They go and rescue Rukia, whatever the hell. Why do I know that name still? What?
Sorry, I just remembered we're talking about anime that like goes off the walls, and I didn't watch this one, but I used to watch a podcast that talked about animes. Don't ask me why. I had a crush on one of the hosts, and so they would and he was talking about Sword Art Online, and that's another one where there's like some that happens, and like.
Yikes.
I don't know if the clip still exists, but there was this one guy who watched the Sword Art Online for the first time, and he came up with 10 alternative titles, and I hadn't even seen the anime, but that's so funny. I wish I remembered them off the top of my head.
Might have to do some research on that so I can add.
That was one of the shows I only watched the first episode of and then just didn't care. Same thing with Attack on Titan. Watched one episode, didn't care. Stopped.
Attack on Titan is
Because
pretty
you
good.
Yeah,
like
I
show.
said, someone forced me to watch it like a couple of years ago or like a year ago or so, and I liked it, honestly. I still haven't watched the second, and I think they're making a third and final. I haven't watched those, but I did.
There's 3 seasons in total. They're on the 4th and final season.
So I was off by a whole season. Okay. That's how little I've been paying. Maybe it's not that good. I don't know.
It's pretty good. I liked it. I don't know.
No, I like the first season a lot.
don't
It's one of those. Oh, go ahead.
I was like, I don't watch a whole lot of anime anymore, but Attack on Titan is one of the few that I
because One
keep up
Piece it
with.
ruined it, didn't it?
When you,
I just rewatch stuff.
I feel like that's kind of like you get into One Piece and you're so burnt out by the time you get caught up. You're like, I don't want to watch.
You basically marry One Piece. You know,
You
can't be with anyone else. No. It's a full commitment, right?
No more.
Yeah, pretty
No,
much.
I
So-
get that.
I think final words are don't trust the government.
Yes. J.J. Abrams runs everything, apparently.
Get HBO Max.
HBO Max. For TV shows.
Yeah, I'll make it easy.
Shows about depression and other mental health aspects are always going to be best.
They
Real
rock.
good.
And
Real good. Yeah.
Unless you're 13 Reasons Why, but let's not go any
Yeah,
further
let's not
than
go
that.
down that rabbit
we
hole.
don't. I
I love that
could beat
show.
Yeah, I know you do.
TV show.
Yeah, I know you do. He likes it ironically. Don't worry. He likes it ironically. He likes it ironically.
I had to
He's
climb my
seen all
way
4
through the final
seasons.
season.
He's a strange kid.
I
But
was ranting to Crawford the whole time while I was watching. I was like, my
I know,
God, that's such a
I know
piece.
on the show. He likes it ironically. Sorry to worry everyone who's watching, and you especially. It's just ironic. I don't know how.
it's
I
so
couldn't
good.
catch the first
It's so
season,
great.
but whatever. It's fine. Anyway,
But-
wrapping up. Sophie.
But we do have our segment where we just recommend something, anything. It doesn't matter what it is.
Oh,
So whoever wants
Oh,
to
God.
go first,
I don't know.
or
going to recommend that you order yourself some food.
Oh.
that's a good recommendation.
It's been a long week and a terribly long week.
It's
It's
Monday.
Monday.
It's the start of a new week.
Hey,
Exactly.
I got up at 4 a.m.
It's been
today.
a long week today.
Daylight savings time is not making it any
Yeah,
easier.
yeah.
It makes it harder.
So
Dude, I literally got up at 4 a.m. for work, and I'm just crashing at this point. So
Time really is
Yeah.
fake. Shows a
Trevor,
construct.
you can be honest. Was your intention to recommend a TV show? Is that what you're getting for?
A piece of media.
I
Just
probably
media, so
was, but I don't know. It's
you can make
actually
live
I have.
recommendations.
I'm gonna make a life recommendation this week. So for my people with allergies, the pollen is out there. please take your allergy medication. You won't regret it. Trust me, I know from experience. The pollen is out here. Please take your allergy medication. You know,
My SUV is normally black and it's yellow right now. Oh, it's out here. Yeah.
yeah, it's
So your car is black and yellow, perhaps.
Yeah. Black and yellow, black and yellow.
like that.
Yeah. All right,
High
anyway,
School
sorry.
episode.
All right. I just had to do that real quick.
I do have a recommendation, and it's going to be a TV show. It's going to be Lost.
We're new to the podcast, so we're sticking with the format.
I gotta stick with the format. It's gonna be Lost. I recommend giving Lost a shot if you want to watch something that's either going to piss you off or make you have an existential crisis. I recommend watching that show. The characters are great. That's mostly what's great about it, to be honest. Most of the plot's very all over the place, but it's still good. And it's very very deep, very emotional. And yeah, I think even though it came out in 2005, I do think it still holds up. It definitely holds up in a binge format for sure.
Cool. All right. Last but not least, Crawford. What do you
We're all
got?
looking at you.
I guess the one show I just touched on, but I really can't recommend enough. I guess I'm recommending Fleabag. It's on Amazon Prime. It's a British show. It's very, very, very good, and it's only like 5 hours to watch the whole thing because it's 30-minute episodes, and there's only 6 episodes a season. So
You're
it's
so-
really
that's
nice,
so
breezy, and,
considerate.
and sweet. Just go watch it. It's really funny.
I
and
would.
amazing.
Yeah.
Lost
That's
is
the
not short.
Lost is not
It's
short
not
at
short at all.
I'd like to change mine. I'd actually recommend that you watch the entirety of One Piece.
Yeah.
And then,
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Watch One Piece and
And
write us
roll
an
over and
essay
die.
about your feelings about it.
Crawl over
right.
and die.
I want a 5-paragraph analysis of the
Just
plot
5
of One
paragraphs.
Piece
And
for
then- and then whoever watched the most episode challenges Trevor to a trivia contest.
And if you
That's-
win,
Answer questions.
that's
Trevor
gonna be
will
our
buy
next-
you something.
Answer questions about anything. About
That'll
what
be our
happens in the show.
season finale.
our next segment. Yeah.
Yeah,
That'll
there
be
you
our
go.
season finale.
There you go.
But, all right. Yeah, this has been the 1080C podcast. This was a fun one. But
It's fun.
until next time, adios.
Goodbye. Thank you, two viewers. Bye bye.